Hey everybody, Demiheals here, back again with another Transformers review, and today we're looking at the Earthrise Voyager class Snapdragon figure. I just found this guy over at my local Walmart, and I figured, hey, why not take a look at him? So, I have held this figure in hand for roughly about, 5 minutes at this point. This is very much a sort of first impression sort of thing. Pretty much all I did was transform each of the modes, and get him back to robot mode. So, for starters, looking just at the robot mode by itself, this is very well detailed in terms of all the various stuff that's on the figure. I love the fact that he has pretty much like a nice solid clean back panel. Like, as opposed to having a super messed up backpack, he's just got a nice clean back, and everybody loves a nice clean back. Looking at his arms, they've got a bit of kibble on them, but to be honest, I don't really notice it all that much, and I'm used to so much more kibble on a figure. The legs, I think, are super nice and clean, though I do notice a little bit of backlash on the opening panels for his cockpit in jet mode. We'll get to that when we get there. But overall, very nice figure. I love the sculpting. I love the detail. I love how this is very little painting, actually. Most of this, there's some painting here and there, but again, I don't like a lot of paint on my toys, because I chip it. I have several figures that have gotten chipped quite a bit because I play with my figures. But no figure's complete without their robot mode being semi-posable, and Snapdragon here is no exception. He is a Titan Master, or a Headmaster with a Titan Master figure. And the Titan Master for this guy looks very nice. They put a lot of detail into this guy compared to some of the other ones. And you'll notice that there are some protrusions on his hands and some teeth on his feet. We'll get to that when we get to that. He has a lot more detail on some of the other modes. But for Snapdragon, you can sub in other Titan Masters in his robot mode if you wanted to. To be honest, I don't usually do that too much, but then again, I didn't get a lot of Titan Masters, so I don't really have that much of a use to. In terms of posability, pretty standard issue in terms of all the various joints and such that he has. The only thing that I will say is that his elbows are a little hard to move just because of how bulky his arms are, though there's not that much that can be done here, at least in terms of what Hasbro and Takara do. I'm betting there's probably somewhere that's done super black magic on that stuff. But overall, the figure's about what I expect in terms of posability on a sort of Generations figure. So, let's go ahead and take a look at his first of his alternate modes, which, since we're on the way there, just talking real fast about his blasters. Nice, simple purple blasters. I like these. They kind of remind me of Null Rays in a way, like a fancy sort of space Null Ray. Honestly, this is the kind of thing that they could have done for the Siege Seekers. I could totally see these working as a space Null Ray. But they look pretty nice for Snapdragon as well. So let's go ahead and get to transforming this guy. And honestly, in terms of how he transforms, I was expecting this to be some sort of super complicated thing, but as you can see, as we're transforming him, it's kind of intuitive almost in terms of how everything goes. The only thing that really threw me for a loop was that his back panel has his arms connected, and those need folded back, and they sort of tab in there. But other than that, everything's kind of super intuitive. Stuff just tabs in where you think it should tab in. The arms doing a little 180 on the forearms is kind of cool. And then, after a pretty quick transformation, we are left with a jet mode. And this space jet looks amazing compared to some of the other ones we've seen. To be honest, it's a little too futuristic looking for me to believe it's like an Earth jet. But then again, the main toy line back in the 80s, there were space jets and stuff in the G1 toy line which was supposedly on Earth. So it would make sense that some of the Decepticons and some of the Autobots still have sort of spacey modes. But in terms of like the jet overall, I love the design of it. Kind of wish that they had some way of completing the booster instead of giving this sort of half booster look and just leaving the fist. But given that they tried to put 3 different things in one spot, I'm going to let that slide a little bit. So as I was saying, the cockpit. Now, I have short fingernails. I am not going to be able to get this open unless I split the legs and fully open it up. So I'm going to do that because I'm here to show you guys what the figure can do. So, these are super tight in terms of getting these open, but once you do, and once you fully get that open, you can take our good little Titan Master buddy and slide him into the cockpit right in there. And he can pilot it and do his stuff. I don't usually display, like with my Siege Ape Face, I don't usually display jet modes if they have another cooler alternate mode. Like Seekers, I'll display in jet mode, but other than that, most folks I'll leave in either robot, or if they have a third mode, I'll put them in that third mode. Speaking of third mode, let's go ahead and take Snapdragon here and get him into that third mode, since if you ask me, it's one of the coolest of the modes. So, one little thing of note that I'll say, that I still have not looked at the instructions for this guy. Everything that I did was just intuitive and just what I felt was right. And one thing that I wasn't expecting is that instead of tabbing in on the cockpit, because this just becomes the tail, his robot chest and his backpack tab into each other to make this sort of new section separate from the other two. And it's kind of hard to see here, but I'll bring the light in. They like tab into each other, which that's a little tricky to figure out at first, but once you get it, it does work. And of course, the underwing gun storage is very common for your classic jet mode, and having it store on the back of the dyno mode works really well here. So folding out the dyno feet, which again, this is why I'm giving the boosters on the back a little bit of slack, because they're also hiding dyno feet, though granted, we all know that if they actually put a tad bit more effort, instead of just fully mass producing, they could get that to work. Though, I mean, I'm not going to complain. It's not like they've been getting super busy business in order to get everything up to a masterpiece quality on their general release toys. So, the one thing of note here for the dyno mode. So, inside his mouth is a Titan Master port. You want to get the Titan Master into a sitting position, like so, and tab him in. It's a very weird and awkward way to try to get him in, but once you do, there we go. Once you get him tabbed in, his arms end up filling out the dinosaur's eyes, and his legs become the mouth of the dyno mode. Then that just folds up into his neck, and we have ourselves, moving the light back, the dyno mode. The dyno mode is honestly a lot better than I would expect. I did not have high hopes for this figure. I figured that it was probably just going to be a jet former, and then they just tack on dyno mode, because hey, why not? But the dyno mode actually turned out pretty okay. And I especially love the ingenious use of the Titan Master as the, mouth of the dyno. Compared to a lot of the other Titan Master designs for toys that they did, they were either heads or they fit into cockpits. There wasn't much else they were used for. So seeing it used like they did for Ape Face, for having it form part of the animal head as well, I love that so much. And I can't help but feel like this and Ape Face were meant to go together, which they really are quite nice together. Purple Deceptiboys. honestly, I'm starting to feel like there's a pattern in terms of figures that I've been enjoying over what I've picked up, being Snapdragon, Ape Face, Blitzwing, Astro Train, Octane, all of the purple Deceptiboys, and Triple Changers at that. My goodness. But Snapdragon definitely has earned a place on my shelf, even though I've been fiddling with it for literally about 15 minutes right now. Like, this is only the second time I've done all these transformations. So, this has been super fun figure. I love it. If you can get your hands on it, this is the first time I saw it in stores. So, if you can get your hands on this guy, he's nice. I like him. All in all, like, I would pay Voyager price point for him. I would not pay anything above that. And honestly, it's still a little high, but not much you can do there. If they had this guy for like $25, great. If you find him on sale, pick him up. He's great. At full price, sure, if you're wanting to get him. If you're not particularly a fan of, like, Deceptiboys, maybe pass him, but he's nice. He's a good little figure to add. And he definitely... I'll have a Decepticon Triple Changer shelf now, since this is the 5th one I've picked up. But I want to know what you guys think. If you've gotten your hands on Snapdragon, let me know what you think. I have been loving him, but what about you? Then go ahead, subscribe, leave a comment, tell me all that good stuff. Go ahead and like the video, share it, all that good stuff. And without any further ado, have a great rest of your day, everybody. Bye.